Welcome back, Stalkers. Today I wanted to cover some of the must-know tips and tricks for new players on how to survive in the zone and don't waste your credits, which are in any case a luxury, especially once you start repairing serious gear, so let's begin. First on the list, and probably one of the most important, is weight. For your expeditions, especially at the start of the game, you should be mindful what you take and how much, because well, everything extra means you being able to pick up less loot to be able to sell later. For example, when I go out to explore, besides the kit, I take plenty of ammo of the same type to match the weapons I use, alongside some meds, bandages and food. Every other ammo type I just leave in my stash because, well, I don't use it and I don't need it. Because everything else will be an extra for you. Well, Stalker 2 gives you a lot of items, even on the highest difficulty, so you will quickly get more, so no need to carry it and basically overburden yourself. You will not use half of it anyway. Even if you go on the long exploration sessions, this will just mean that you will have even more stuff, so don't stress. Later on you can use artifacts which increase your carrying capacity, and if you need to sprint somewhere while carrying a bit too much, get an energy drink. It won't make it great, but it should give you some stamina back a bit faster. Now at the same time, every time you drink an energy one, you should be eating because, well, as soon as that happens, your hunger is gonna be going up. Don't carry multiple weapons for your kit, 2 rifles and a pistol is more than enough. Your personal stash doesn't have a limit, so no need to, hoard it with you when you can just leave it. Especially because personal loot also sinks between camps, making storage easier than ever. On the road you will see all sorts of anomalies, from elemental ones like electro, fire, to gravitational ones like push and pull anomalies, whirls and so on. Going through them means your HP is gonna be going down and your armor condition will deplete, so avoid them and use the bolt to activate them in case you need to pass through an anomaly. Some anomalies like glass shards, for example, you have to walk through, otherwise you will get cut and start the bleeding debuff. Throw the bolt in front of you and just follow that path. Most anomalies only work when you touch them, so even if you are very close to it, don't panic, because running through it just means wasting meds for no reason, because, well, you're gonna be running into those anomalies. You can also control the flashlight on PC with your middle mouse button, as it's easier that way in case you need to do it, and this is actually a tip a lot of people didn't know about. Also make sure to play around anomalies when you kite mutants. They will try to avoid them, but ultimately you can aggro them so they pass through an anomaly, making you conserve some ammo because, well, that anomaly is going to destroy them. Now, whenever you come across a weapon after a fight or you find one on a body or in a stash, make sure to unload the magazine to get some extra ammo. It won't be a lot, it's gonna be a few bullets, but over time it's helpful and will get you some back after a fight. If the weapon is on the ground, you can unload it right away. In the inventory, you just right click on PC and unload. I would also tell you to conserve ammo and don't go full auto, but mutants are very bullet spongy on bigger difficulty, even with the updates and everything else, so it's tough on the budget to shoot multiple opponents, multiple mutants. But there is plenty of ammo in the zone to find, so don't worry. My only advice would be, if sometimes you think you're going to miss a certain mutant, rather just wait until you get closer to shoot them, because, well, other ammo is not going to hit them and you're just going to waste it. Also, you have some ammo which is, for example, armor piercing, which is going to work better against some stronger mutants and also against enemies with better armors, especially exosuits. You can break boxes in Stalker 2 with your knife or your weapon. I still recommend knife, as I heard that using a weapon will wear it down, it seems, and to be honest, after testing it, I did lose 2% of my weapon after breaking 5 boxes, so might be connected to that, might not. At the end of the day, I just use a knife. There are 2 types of boxes: unmarked cases that might hold something but usually don't, and the marked ones, like for example food and beverages, and also ammo containers and meds that will be visibly marked. They usually provide a lot of stuff, so don't avoid it. Sometimes there even might be a secret passage behind a breakable boxes or a stash, so look carefully. Repairs in Stalker 2 cost a lot of money, and this is very important early on in the game. Stuff like AKs, boomsticks and early toss shotguns are everywhere in the lesser zone and even beyond it. So unless you upgraded a weapon with a fixer, which I also don't recommend for starting weapons, then you can repair it, but keep in mind that repair price will go up with every single upgrade you do, and also, well, why bother repairing a weapon if you're gonna be finding a similar one quite fast in the zone? So if you find an AK early or a similar one and it's not fully damaged, either use it or sell it. And when you do use it to a point it fully breaks, just drop it and get another one. Also, AK ammo will be easier to find early on because a lot of stalkers use AK systems. So if you find a gun which is, let's say, for example, from a NATO countries like AR, I would store it at the beginning because ammo for those guns is not easy to come across unless you go into stashes hunting and so on. Even most of the traders at the beginning don't have that sort of ammo, so you kinda have to mix and match it with other weapons so you don't lose it. So early on, fight, deplete a weapon and toss it. It's the most wallet friendly way. And don't buy ammo from traders early on, it's too much. Rather use a weapon until you are done with its ammo, then switch to something else where you, for example, collected abundance of ammo and you're just keeping it in your stash. Switch out the weapon, burn through that ammo which is sitting in your stash, and then while you're doing that, you're gonna be getting ammo for your main weapon. Now, the reason I tell you not to repair basic weapons is because of hidden stashes and loot you can get. So everywhere on the map you will have stashes, either the ones you learn about from PDAs or ones which are already there, where you can find either full fixed basic weapons or unique versions of those weapons with better stats, more attachments and so on. Which means that you shouldn't also buy any weapons from traders as they are very expensive, and every single one of those weapons which is being sold with the traders can be found in the zone, every single one, so don't need to buy it. Same for the armor, every piece of the zone will have hidden about 2 to 3 pieces of gear that ranges from bandit outfits early on to sunrise suits and faction outfits where you will get proper protection from all elements and bullets, so again, no need to buy armor. You can also find exoskeletons for free later, and most of those will be some of the best armor you can have in the game. And also, when it comes to upgrading armor, I don't really recommend upgrading starter armor until you get something really good later on when you progress through the game, because it's too much and it's not worth it. That's why exploration is important, and those stashes might be in the most unintuitive places you can think of. But searching roofs, finding different areas of entry by climbing different cars or excavators or something like that is going to get you to that stash. So don't think that if you cannot see a path to a certain stash that there is no stash there, because they are very well hidden here, and there is a lot that devs actually place throughout the zone which you can find. Trust me, there is a lot here. Artifacts are one of the most important things in the zone. That's why stalkers come in the first place, to find its secrets or to sell them. You can find artifacts in anomalous areas where you will see increased amount of anomalous, just activity, so use your detector to move closer to it. Later on, detectors will even show you their location or a direction you should be heading in, but the faster the beep, the closer you are. Once it appears, just pick it up and that's it. Also, you can use your weapon to shoot at the artifact in case it's stuck within an anomaly and you just cannot reach it, because they do actually react to ammo. Artifacts don't give away any radiation in your bag, so don't worry on how many you carry. Once you equip them, it's a different story, as there are two main types of artifacts in Stalker 2. Ones that give away radiation, ones that protect you against it. You should always equip one which protects you from radiation, one which gives you buffs but also gives you that radiation as well, because those two artifacts are going to cancel each other out. Unless the radiation is stronger, then you need an artifact with stronger radiation protection. So this means if an artifact is giving you medium radiation protection and you equip another artifact which also inhibits high radiation, it's not going to protect you because you need an artifact with high radiation protection. It's always going to be like that. But early on, don't worry about that, at least, until you don't find the armor that can hold at least minimum of 2 slots. Artifact drops in some areas are predefined, but in most anomalous areas they are random and will come from the group of that anomaly. So for example, if you are in a toxic zone, it will give away an artifact from that toxic group. Fire from fire anomalies, etc. They respawn after some days as well, so you can farm them. I initially thought that emissions will respawn them, which would be a logical case, but after an emission I went to the same spot to find the artifact and it wasn't there. It only appeared after a few days. I don't know if this is a bug or maybe an intended thing from the devs, but waiting a few days was always a best result and they always respawn. You can get from the most common artifacts to the legendary ones that give maximum stats, and it doesn't depend on a detector because it's a myth, and I found the best artifacts with my starting detector. It was, you know, just an RNG basically. Armor later on, or well, especially upgrading armors later on, you can also add additional lead containers that you will have to get blueprint for, of course, but that will help you out because those lead containers are going to stop the radiation from a certain artifact from spreading, so it's going to be as if basically you have radiation protection. This is very good to invest in, but I also recommend doing that later on, especially once you get into more, how would I say, exoskeleton area of armor. Climbing on stuff is probably one of the most important things you can do in this game, because most mutants will stop attacking you if you climb on any elevation that they cannot reach via a certain path. So boxes, cars, buildings will work, especially against bloodsuckers. Downside is they will hide, but sometimes they don't hide well. You can just shoot them while they stand still, and you can bait them by basically climbing down for a second from that platform and then climbing back again, because the AI is going to assume you are now on the ground and they will come to you. So you can use a few seconds of that time as that mutant is attacking you to deal some damage. If you are out in the open though, well, running zigzag against most mutants' attacks will work, as they attack in a frontal direction. Don't panic, just bob and weave and you should be okay. It's a similar tactic against controllers and builders, as running helps you from getting hit by objects. So if you're fighting these guys, like for example, especially builders, you can kinda go around them, but controllers are a bit more difficult as they tend to kinda, you know, spawn more items and attack you from all sides, which is not easy, especially also if you get close to them. Things like poltergeist as well. It's very important just to start moving and not stand in one place, because, well, otherwise, if an object hits you, it's most likely going to deplete your entire HP. Saving is one of the most important things you can do in Stalker 2 or any Stalker game, for a few reasons. First one being that comes fast in the zone and you might lose progress, although in Stalker 2 you do have autosaves which are constant, so you know the worry is much lesser now. But make hard saves of the game, you know, from time to time, in case your quick save is corrupted, because that can happen, or maybe you fell into a situation you cannot get out of. This is important, especially if you're gonna be modding. Make sure to back up your saves, because if you don't and you brick your save, all of the progress which you have is going to be lost. Plus, again, as I said, the game can be very buggy as you progress through the main story, especially later on towards the end, so having a backup save is very important. To make money in the zone, there are a few ways. First off is selling weapons that are not fully damaged, so reds won't be bought by anyone while yellows will. It's not much, but it will help to level out repairs later on in the game. You can also sell most food and beverages you find, you know, just keep some, because you will have too much anyway. If you go to my stash, like, I can literally start my own faction in the game with how much stuff I have. You don't need this. I'm hoarding this, but if you want like a lot of money, you can just sell it. After the first patch for the game, value of artifacts has gone up. Collecting and selling them is very valuable business now, as you will get decent money in the zone with relatively easy work. Locations like a lesser, you know, zone, have a few of them you can run through, but also going into different areas and just going on an artifact run is going to yield you some decent money. Now, collecting blueprints is also extremely important, because as you explore, make sure to collect them as well, and you will be finding them in various hidden areas and stashes, because you will need them to upgrade your weapons and armor. Also keep in mind that not every single fixer is gonna be able to work on the most, highest end gear right from the start, so you have to find someone who can do it, either going into a freedom base or a duty base, or without spoiling other bases which you can visit that have those fixers, which they can do it. Because those things are going to be incredibly important to increase the physical protection and radiation protection and so on, even giving you that ability to, well, have a lead container, which is going to be very useful for your artifact belt. Now for the end, my biggest advice is to take things slow, go out and explore, as you can access most of the map after prologue, and exploring does yield weapons, armor and everything else you will need later on in tougher areas of the zone. So these were my beginner tips for Stalker 2. I will have more advanced ones in the future, so if you enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing for more Stalker 2 content, and join our community on Twitter and Discord. Huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters, and for the time being, get out of here, Stalker.